Every moment tonight, they led me to you. Every single time you look at me, I lose it too. Why don't you come sit next to me? Let things happen naturally, like it used to be. I don't wanna go and waste another day, mess it up again, lost in my way. I'll be the one to have the highest price to pay. If I make it home tonight, may I hold you one last time? Let me hold you one last time. What if it's too late for me now? What if you gone to someone else, so we can never be the same? How can I make up for my sins? Now I'm lonely and it kills me. Can you hear me, babe? I'm lonely. I know you don't wanna talk, but just pick up the phone. We could go for a walk, talk about the things we know. Why don't you come sit next to me? Let things happen naturally, like it used to be. I don't wanna go and waste another day, mess it up again, lost in my way. I'll be the one to have the highest price to pay. If I make it home tonight, may I hold you one last time? Let me hold you one last time. What if it's too late for me now? What if you gone to someone else, so we can never be the same? How can I make up for my sins? Now I'm lonely and it kills me. May I hold you one last time? Let me hold you one last time. What if it's too late for me now? What if you gone to someone else, so we can never be the same? How can I make up for my sins? Now I'm lonely and it kills me. Can you hear me, babe? I'm lonely.
No, it wasn't.
It's recording now. Maybe I need to turn on my desk lamp. Oh shit.
There you are.
Do I want it that bright though?
I kind of like it like that.
Nah, I like not being seen.
Just your silhouette.
Yeah. That's better.
No, I don't like that.
That's better.
I got all the light on me.
I know, with your white ass. All right, man.
I don't like not being in the same room. Like, it's weird.
It is different, but this is cool, man. Like I knew it was gonna be too hot in the fucking barn, so
yeah.
Plus, this way, you know, we didn't have to rush or anything. You know, we can get what we needed to do out of the way, you know, and come and do this like this. So it actually works. So welcome back to another episode of Candid Conversations. Of course, I'm your host, Marc D, aka Mr. Candid. Go get the merch. With me, as always, is Amanda Sword. Say what's up to the family, Amanda.
Hey.
Y'all have seen on my IG stories, on my IG page, we got the merch available, so you can go over to mrcandidpodcast.com and go right into the store and pick out your merch. Also, if you want to get the Fuck Your Feelings t-shirt, you can hit up Amanda at, where can they reach you at on IG?
Oh God, why would you not tell me to remember my thing?
Just search Amanda Sword.
I think 20 maybe? I don't know. Why would you not tell me to have that prepared?
Always have it prepared. Like that's your IG page. All right, so this is what we're gonna do right here. You can go follow her at amanda.sword.520 over on IG, and over on Facebook you can follow her at Amanda Sword. Go and follow her, inbox her for your size and for any other details that you may need to purchase your Fuck Your Feelings t-shirt. Right now, I think we got a big order in. So everybody, you know, is ordering their merch right now. So don't be left out. If you would like to be an ambassador for the Mr. Candid t-shirts and merch, you know what I'm saying, reach out to myself. You can reach me on IG at Marc D3SR. Again, that is Marc D3SR, MARC D3SR. And then you can go over on Facebook as well at Marcus Dowdell Sr. And follow me over there and inbox me for your merch. Today's topic of conversation, we're going to be discussing life after divorce. We know that it's difficult. There are times that it's easy. It's a mindset that you got to put yourself in. But one of the things that I know and that I've studied about divorce is that when two people come together and become one, and when they dissipate that union, it is that of a death, you know, because it is the tearing apart of that union, of that family, of that structure, you know. So mentally, you know, you have to, you can't prepare yourself for it. You know, I know it's cliche to say, you know, well, you'll be okay, everything will be all right, you know, but the truth of the matter is there is a process, you know, and one of the first things that I advocate for is clinical help, because there are some things that every individual after a divorce needs to work out mentally, spiritually, psychologically, because as I said, it is that of a small death, you know. So, you know, outside of clinical help, you know, and seeking spiritual counsel and wisdom, your friends and family can, you know, give you things of how they would deal with it if they've never been through it, or they can, you know, give you words of wisdom of what helped them. Yet at the same time, one of the things that I notice is that even in the wise counsel and the wisdom that is shared after that particular individual have gone through a divorce, what I've oftentimes noticed is that because they've tried to do it on their own, they still have things to work through, you know, and then they just take it in relationship after relationship after relationship, you know. So one of the things that we want to talk about tonight when it comes to life after divorce, how to survive after divorce. That's the topic of conversation, how to survive after divorce. Even though, and Amanda, I want you to chime in here, even though it's in a co-parent situation, you still have a lot of the burden of raising a child, whether they're with you, whether they're with the mother, whether they're with the father. Without going too far in depth, like, what do you think is one of the hardest things to overcome, to deal with, to acknowledge after such a devastating loss?
You mean as in like after divorce? I mean, you're obviously talking about after divorce.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in my marriage was, not with my kids, father. But even that being said, I think for me, it's at the end of the day, it's still looked at and a lot of times viewed as a failure. So you did something, you put your kid in a situation that they didn't ask to be put in. You uprooted and changed their life essentially, and and then at the end of the day, it failed. And then you're now saying, nope, it's like, I'm pulling you away from the friends that you just made, the dog that you had, and like the school that you went to. And do you know what I'm saying? Like I mean, that right there was obviously like the hardest. And like I said, just everything, just kind of holding it and looking at it as a failure that, you couldn't make something work or couldn't show your kid at the end of the day, what a marriage is supposed to look like.
Okay. And what does a marriage look like?
I mean, yeah. So I mean, compromise, like, happiness, like just yeah, like working through things, and essentially, like I said, obviously staying together. So I mean, I understand and know that, marriages obviously do fail. But a lot of times it's not necessarily both parties that want the divorce or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, obviously a marriage looks different to a lot of people, but I mean, a marriage at the end of the day, what I'm trying to show my kid is, just a lot of different things: co-parenting, compromise, like, just getting along. And I mean, there's just a lot of things that you want to be, that you just want your kid to see positivity.
Okay. All right. So in saying that, with that being said, how do you continue to show that afterwards?
I mean, pretty much. I mean, you have to have, I mean, obviously your family and a support system, but at the end of the day, I mean, you can keep yourself busy all you want and try and occupy yourself with other things, but you gotta like, face the problems head on eventually and figure out, what went wrong and what needs to change. And like I said, and you got to still keep living and still keep raising a kid. So I mean, you just have to continue to show that child that even though a marriage and two parents is helpful and nice, and just kind of like, a good way to spend your life and have a partner, it's not necessary. So you have to still, I mean, I guess for me, it's showing her that it's not necessary, and that, life still does and has to go on. And you very much well can have, still a good life, by yourself.
Okay. All right. So,
because it's not, I mean, at the end of the day, having a marriage just to show a child what a marriage looks like isn't good either, if it's not a good marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I'm saying you got to, I mean, whatever that looks like. If you have to show your kid, that being single is okay, and, getting through life that way, until the right situation comes, then that's what I mean by that.
that's what I wanted to hear.
Why?
No such fucking thing as a right situation.
Whatever. Yes, there is.
No, it's not. It's the situation that you choose. And I think one of the big misnomers is that when being married, because most of us, what we've done is we look at marriage from the Disney fairy tale, and that's been, especially when it comes to little girls, it's so embedded in them that a relationship is supposed to be perfect. There's no such thing. And most divorces happen because there's a phrase that I say all the time: mind your own process.
I like that.
And so in marriage, what we do so many times is that instead of trying to figure out our shortcomings and deal with our shortcomings, deal with things that we need to work on, we put this huge burden on our significant other, on our spouse, to make us happy, to be this perfect mate. It doesn't exist. If a man is the leader of the family, the woman falls in line with the man, the children falls in line with the woman. If a man is on his purpose, there is a different construct in the household. When a man isn't on his purpose, what tends to often happens is that the man becomes so destructive that it just explodes throughout the rest of the family. You know, whether it be verbal, whether it be psychological, whether it be emotional, it just explodes. Now, the woman's job is to be a place of peace for him, to abide. This concept of every woman being a queen is fucking retarded and bullshit to me.
I agree with you.
A woman can't be a queen without a king. A woman can't be a queen and marry a peasant and make him a king. But a king can marry a peasant and make her a queen. So in spirituality, when that concept is fully and completely understood, there's a dynamic in the relationship and in the family structure that's different, because the woman understands that her spouse have been in battle and war all day. So when he comes home, he doesn't want another war and battle. It's her job to be spiritually grounded, to have taken time out of her day to meditate, to go within, to process whatever she needs to, get the kids together. So when he comes home, he don't have to continue being in war mode. Most women don't know how to do that. Most women break up their own homes. When that happens, we've placed so much accountability and blame on the man when a marriage fails. And that's the first thing most people ask is, what did he do? What didn't he do? So men are just by default made to be accountable. But what I oftentimes feel, and I want your thoughts on this, what I oftentimes see is that so many women after life after divorce, they hold no accountability. It's always, oh, I was the perfect wife. I was the perfect woman. Well, you couldn't be. There was something lacking there. So for a woman to go and to deal with that process, what are your thoughts about that?
You know, I definitely don't agree when people say, I mean, it's definitely, it took two people to come together and make the relationship, and it takes two people, for it to fail. I mean, you and I have had plenty of conversations, about mine specifically. And so, I mean, I have gotten into detail with you, and I have owned, certain things. At the end of the day, there's disconnect, there's love lost, there's things that happen that you can't come back from. There's a mindset. I mean, for me, it was a mindset. Once I started to feel a certain way. I definitely probably didn't help, situations and try and, smooth some things out, because at that point I was done. So there's definitely, I definitely take, accountability and believe that everyone should, because, I mean, obviously I don't know everyone's situations, but at the end of the day, aside from, someone like you've talked about before being, abused by one party and, different things like that, where that's a completely different situation. I definitely think that both parties had equal, and maybe not equal, but definitely had opportunities to mend things where they took a different route, and they were at fault just like the other one.
So after your divorce, what was your process to heal and mend and to get in a healthy place to where you started to accept it and begin to get along with life?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely had to go all the way back, and I definitely was, at the bottom, and had to start all the way over. But I think and what I wanted to touch on earlier when you had mentioned happiness, it's not. I think for me, it was finding. It's not. Someone sent this to me actually before in like a little meme or something, but it was someone else is not responsible for your happiness. So when you're in a relationship, it's not the other person's job to make sure that you're happy. You have to be happy, with who you are and within yourself, and then you can come together with someone else. So I think for me, it was just finding out again, like, who I was and what truly made me happy, and what I was comfortable and confident in myself, moving forward, and taking that to maybe, then, with me to another relationship, or just in my life in general. So yeah, honestly, for me, it was just finding out, because when you're married, you tend to, and I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but you tend to take on other people's, maybe their interests or hobbies, or you start to just do what they do, or you just start to get content with different things, and you forget really like what and who you are.
Okay. All right. So your process.
Yes.
So what was your process?
My process. Like I said, I mean, I don't really know that I can pinpoint it down to a specific thing, other than just accepting and like I said, being okay, and knowing that I didn't need anyone. I could handle, like, I think for me, it was literally going down and being back to nothing and starting over, and knowing that I did that. Like, I had to do that. I had to find, I couldn't lean on anyone. I couldn't lean on, rely, whatever you want to call it. Like, it was all on me. And so I think it was just literally going back to the basics and starting over, and every choice I made was my choice. So you can't blame anyone else for where you're at. You can't blame anyone else for anything. Like, so if you don't like something, you change it, and only you change it. And so I think for me, that was my process, was just knowing that where I was not dependent on anyone else. And if I didn't like it, I had to be the one to do something about it. And I was the only one I could blame and say, I don't like where I'm at. I need to make a change. And so, there was no one else that had any control. And so I had all the control, essentially, of my life again.
I call bullshit on part of it.
Oh, what? Of course you do. I was waiting for that.
Because so many women honestly don't know what it's like to truly have no one. Because and I say no one, but I say that because a single mother, or a single mother will always have family, unless she's just a complete and total fuck up. She will have family. Sometimes she will even have his family to fall back on. Whereas a man, when we start over, we got to get this shit completely out the fucking mud. You know, there is no safety net for us. You know, most of the time there's no going back home until we get back on our feet. You know,
Yeah.
and
Sorry, go on.
that's the part that I said I call bullshit. I know that you wasn't, you know, saying that ill will, you know, but because most women, that's truly how they feel, you know,
Yeah.
because y'all are so used to having those who have a community. You're so used to having one that once that death happens, you know, the feeling that a lot of y'all have is like, shit, I'm alone now.
Yeah, so for me, and when I say no one, you know, and I know you know what I meant, like I wasn't meaning like, you know, no one isn't a partner, and as like, you know, and even, you know, just with, you know, not that he's not in her life, but even just like, you know, my daughter's father, just not living close and having his help necessarily all the time, with hands on. But I mean, I had my family, but at the same time, there's a different, I had a friend that, I mean, we lived in her basement, you know, for a whole year, after my divorce. And, but at the same time, that's a pride issue. You know, I'm, you know, in my 30s living in someone's basement with my child. And so even though I had people in my corner, I for sure felt like it was bottom for me, because it was not like, up seemed really far away, and like, and the steps that I still knew I needed to take, you know, to not have that be my situation or be my reality, was still pretty far away, even though at the end of the day, I'm super grateful that, you know, I had, you know, a place and that opportunity and those people in my life. It was for sure not where I thought or wanted to be at that age of my life.
Yeah, and I completely understand that.
Yeah.
When death happens in regards to divorce, because essentially that's what it is. One of the things that a lot of men go through is that, you know, it is the sense of failure. You know, I couldn't keep my family together, you know, by any means necessary, because when it comes to the family structure, there's things that, you know, we want to say we want to do, but we're taught that not to do them, instead of being taught that you weigh the pros and the cons, you make a decision, and that's what you live with. And that's one of the things that my father, you know, me and my brother, you know, he drilled that into our head, you know, is that I ain't got to lay in the bed that you make. It's your bed. You know, I'm gonna feel sympathy for you. You know, any way that I can present help to you, I will, if it's in my means and if it doesn't affect my household.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're on your own. You know, I've given you the tools that I believe that was necessary for you to be a productive citizen in the world. You know, now you take those tools and you do with them what you will. You know, and to your point, as far as, you know, up seems so far away, you know, after that, because you do, you know, in your mind, it is rock bottom, you know, especially when you've lived a certain standard of life, you know, and then when you have to move in with someone to get on your feet. And then as men, you know, of course, when it's state sanctioned, you know, we're on the hooks for child support. And then along with that, you know, so many things are tied to just that, you know. So trying to live and then trying to take care of what's ours can become a difficult task, especially when there was two incomes coming in the home.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now there's one income coming in the home, and it's like, okay, I got to make up that second income. to even have a resemblance of the life that I used to have. And mentally, a lot of people get to a breaking point, unfortunately, because they don't seek clinical help. They don't seek spiritual help. And I don't think that you can have one without the other, because there is a balance to it. You know, so
Yeah, and just real quick to touch on with you said the going from two incomes and the money and the stuff that has to, I think that stuff plays a factor a lot of time. Well, not I think I know that it plays a factor with a lot of people staying in a marriage longer than they should, because of those things that you stated, and because someone knows that they're gonna have to pay this or pay that, or that they can't make it and keep that lifestyle up, if they were to leave each other.
and yeah, I mean, you're right about that. And life after divorce, unless a man just has a certain status, as far as income, as far as workflow and everything, it will always be easier for a woman to reach the top faster than a man after life after divorce, because not only, because a lot of employers will hire her, one, because she's a woman, then if she's attractive, she has one leg up, then you bat your eyes, and a soft-spoken voice, and your women's flirtatious ways will put her in a position faster to see the moon and the stars, faster oftentimes than a man, and it can, if a man allows it to, it can create resentment and bitterness towards his child or children's mother, or just women in general, because I've heard a lot of men, their conversation about women, like, oh, bruh, like, you very bitter, like, but you loved her at one point in time. Okay, it didn't work. Okay, I get that mentally you don't know what the fuck to do. I know that emotionally you're broken. You don't know if you can trust another woman again. So, you move differently. I get all of that.
And that's the thing. I definitely think that, life after divorce, like, marriage changes you and changes your outlook on things and your perspective and stuff. And like, I feel like, someone should not. So growing up, I mean, as a kid, like, I used to be like, oh my God, I would, what, like, why would you ever sign like a prenup? Like, why would you ever do that? Because that's pretty much saying that you're gonna get divorced. Like, why would you even think about that? Like, if you marry someone, it's for life. Like, I mean, I had these, like, crazy, not crazy, because I think a lot of girls and a lot of whatever growing up, like, feel that way, because your marriage is, supposed to be, I mean, you're for the most part pushed to, believe, you get married one time, it's a huge thing, and that's it. And so I was like, why would you, if you sign that, you're pretty much saying we're not going to last. And like, but now, obviously, like, as an adult, I 100%, and you and I have, kind of had this conversation actually recently. I 100%, do not, I would sign one, obviously, like, I would sign one if someone asked me to, if I ended up being with someone that, had some sort of, gain over me or anything, like, whatever someone, here's the thing, a marriage or a divorce should not break you, and your alimony should not be someone else's, paycheck, and they should not be their way of life and their living. And so, if you made something of yourself, you did all the right things, you made the steps to make yourself, successful, I shouldn't gain off of that or benefit off of that if that happened before I came into your life or anything like that. So I definitely think that, I hate that stuff, obviously plays a role on people, you know, hating marriage and being against marriage and having a bad taste in their mouth about marriage when it's all said and done, because it's hard enough to make it work and to find someone that fits with you. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard enough to then add like the bitterness and to have someone not trust women or not trust, you know, whatever, because of because they're worried that someone that they can't trust, that someone's pure, you know, pureness is going to come out. And so like that, I like it, it just drives me nuts.
You're gonna get flamed over that.
Why? It's the truth. I'm serious. I mean, you know me. Like, I'm not saying this. Like, this, I've said this like off camera. I've said it my whole life, and like, and I did it in my. I mean, I did it. I didn't. You know, I mean, granted, my marriage wasn't extremely long, and I didn't have, you know, a child with who I was married to. I did not, and you know, did not take what I didn't have a part of before the marriage. 100%.
This is just the way men have always said that. and the thing is, most men, you know, especially a woman who has, you know, invested in the relationship, invested in the things that helped him further himself, you know, a lot of men will say, okay, well, you know, they'll come to some type of agreement even after, you know, a divorce happens.
Yes, and that's aside from what I'm saying. Like, if you have kids together and someone and the husband said, you know, don't work and take care of the kid because my job is the one that, you know, brings in the most money and whatever. Obviously, that's a different story because you did what you needed to do for your family so that the other partner could solely, you know, invest in what was going to benefit you guys the most. So obviously, everyone has separate things, but you know, I'm just speaking on, you know, like, you just shouldn't. So me as a person, or even my kid, should not get more money than another person just because my spouse brought in more money or my child's father brings in more money. And that's a completely different, I feel like that's a completely different topic, maybe for another day. But it is. But I'm just saying.
Because here's the thing, you know, pertaining that, a lot of men become bitter because, first of all, men are just dumb as fuck, because they know that the woman that they're marrying, the woman that they're seeing, means them no good, you know, and because of her status when it comes to her looks, her body, whatever the case may be, the talent with her mouth and her yoni, you know, and so what ends up happening is they know that she's only in it to get what she can out of it. She's not there to add any type of value to him, and he knows that. But instead of having that conversation and dialogue, and for if and when the end comes, there's just a smooth departure, you know. And what ends up happening is, at the end of a lot of relationships, you know, and I get the emotional aspect of women's feelings getting tied and into it. My thing is, well, you picked wrong, you know, when it comes to the woman. When it comes to the man, you know, well, you knew she was crazy from the jump, you picked wrong. So, you know, with that being said, what tends to happen, as I said before, the men that develop resentment towards women after a divorce death, is because instead of her being fair, it's, I'm going to show him. Mm-hmm. And so she ends up, you know, everything that he worked for, now he's balls out.
Yeah.
You know, so the next woman, and it's unfair but men go through it too. Having your present pay for your past, you know, and that's the society that we live in. You know, so many women are thoughts after marriage. because of what she went through with him. And then so many men, they like, you know, fuck it, I'm about to be about my bag. And any broad that comes in, you know, it's all about the yoni. You know, but when you've had coming up as a man, when you've had your taste and fulfillment of different scoops of ice cream, then it's cool. Like you're really not in a hurry, you know. And so the woman that comes in next, she's not paying for your past situations. Now she has to prove herself worthy of you. And I think that in today's society, because women have been taught that the yoni is the prize, they believe that they don't have to prove anything to a man, they just have to show up.
Yeah, no, I won't argue. I won't argue on that. I think the bottom line to a lot of this is at the end of the day, I think we just have to be realistic. And to be honest with you, you know, when we talked earlier, like you touched on fairy tales earlier, and I had just recently brought this up to you about a song that I heard, and it's not realistic, but it's what we're being fed. It's what's out there. And like, you know, it's pretty much saying, you know, I'll love you when you wake up in the morning and your hair's a mess. And like if you know, when you say you'll be ready in 5 minutes and it takes you an hour, like that stuff's cute maybe for maybe the first couple months, and then obviously, you know what I'm saying, it turns to where it's like, you know, no, like if you continue to just live your life and don't take care of yourself and don't fight for your relationship, no, it's definitely not going to work. And same with, you know, I just feel like you have to understand that at the end of the day, like, you know, a relationship, a marriage, all of it, you have to work at it, and it never stops. And you need to find someone that doesn't, you know, we talked about this before too, that doesn't just get to see your positives, and that, you know, and that it's not a shock when, you know, other things, you know, are revealed or shown. So, I mean, because let's be real, they're going to come out eventually. So why do you want them to come out after you've already said I do, and then now you're going through a horrible death, like, you know, a horrible life experience, you know, that you could have completely, you know, avoided if you, I mean, because we're not going to be able to hide them forever. So, I mean, I just don't know why we lie and kid ourselves that, you know, I mean, you want that person that bad that you're going to not show a side of you that you know what they're going to see eventually, and let them make that decision early on. So let's just be completely honest and show who we are and let that person make that decision for themselves.
Because lies work on women.
Are you done?
They do. They do. This is why so many women make bad decisions when it comes to men, because they heard their perfect lie. They heard the words that was going to sweep them off their feet rather than them falling in love with the truth. Because the woman that falls in love with the truth is a different breed of a woman.
Yeah.
You know, and she's always working on herself to develop herself to become the best version of herself at all times. And so she doesn't, because see, here's the thing. When a man chooses a woman, he's choosing her based off of what he sees in front of her. Then the investment that he puts into that woman is based off of where he's going in his future. Most women choose a man based off of his potential. And this is why so many women choose wrong. Because if you brought that same man around men in your family, the things that we see, most women won't see, can't see. So we'll tell the women in our family, you know, oh, he ain't shit. You know, I'm telling you this up front. Most women like, well, no, because he does this, he does that. Hey, look, I'm telling you, this is what it is. Now, after that, it's on you. You know, so, I mean, when it comes to divorce, you know, like I stated earlier, you know, clinical help, go seek help, you know, because mentally, you know, something of that caliber breaks us. We lose we lose something when we divorce.
100%. And what I want to make sure, and I mean, I'm not speaking for you or anyone else. I just, like, nowhere in any of this conversation about divorce and anything like that, like, I'm not saying, you know, I mean, I've been pretty clear, obviously, with saying that I've had one of my own. So, I mean, I'm not looking down on people. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get divorced. You know, obviously, like, people go through, you know, people, you know, they change, their lives change, what they want changes, who they are changes, you know, you develop through, you know, your whole life, and you just, whether that means you know, fell out of love, or you went into different directions at you know, at different times or whatever. So I just want to make sure everyone, you know, listening knows that, you know, by any means am I not, you know, are we saying that, you know, divorce is, you know, a bad thing, a good, you know, it's just, we're just having a conversation about what it looks like, you know, after, if you have to go through one.
You ain't shit if you get a divorce. I'm saying it. No, look, you know, the reason why divorce is so high in today's society is because of those feelings. Because if we got married based off of practicality, divorces would be a lot lower. But the fact that we don't get married off of practicality, and what would better suit us as a unit, make a decision of a spouse based off of what is going to benefit us as a unit and as a community. We don't do that anymore. Now it's off of feelings and emotions. And like I said, divorce is so rampant today because marriage is no longer practical. It's emotional, you know, and, you know, as you stated, you know, if you go through it, you know, like I said, my biggest thing is seek help, because you can get 50 different perspectives of what everyone else think you should do or should have done. But the fact of the matter is 45 of those individuals ain't never been married in their life. You know, they may have, because one of the things that I've learned, marriage changes people. After that, both of you start to change. And if it's not a practical decision, then yes, resentment will build in the marriage, and animosity. You know, so I mean, I can't encourage it enough. Seek help, seek help, seek help. You know, because you have a part of you have died. You know, so that's the part that you need to heal. The thing, you know, whatever you need to work on as an individual, you know, go and get the wisdom that you need to. You know, you can't do it on your own. You know, if you've never been to medical school, you wouldn't try to, you know, fix a stab wound or a gunshot wound by yourself. You're going to go in and see a doctor who specializes in it. You know, so when it comes to relationships, you know, and we just spoke on a lot of the economic portion of it. You know, when it comes to the spiritual aspect of it, it goes a lot deeper. and next week we'll talk about the spiritual aspect of going through a divorce and spiritually coming back from the dead after a divorce. So you got any final thoughts?
No, I think that everything, that we talked about was, or hopefully it was helpful, and hopefully, the points and stuff were, got across to everyone. Like you said, I definitely think that, talking to someone, doing whatever you have to do after a divorce is 100% needed, because your friends and family obviously are helpful, but they're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're maybe not necessarily the ones that are really going to be able to heal you, because you definitely need to hear what you did wrong, what you could do, but I'm saying, definitely hear things that maybe your friends aren't going to be willing to give you in that moment. So for sure, an outside person, talking to you and getting you through something like that, I think is definitely needed.
There you have it, family. As always, Amanda says a whole lot of nothing. No, but in all seriousness, it's a devastating loss. But at the end of the day, you take that, you learn from it, good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent. It happened. Heal from it and continue on your life journey. But as we wrapping up, make sure you go to mrcandidpodcast.com. I will make sure that the link is dropped below, and pick up your merch. If you're a coffee drinker, won't you have a cup with Mr. Candid? Go and order it. If you in the morning going to work out, stay hydrated with Mr. Candid. T-shirts, tank tops, t-shirts, tank tops, and hoodies.
Yeah,
hoodies. We'll be posting, we'll continue to post some merch. I'm working on, for everybody who's in colder climates, I'm working on the Scullies and a couple other items. So be ready to go and look in the store. I'll let y'all know when the new merch drop next week. But until then, this has been another episode of Candid Conversations. Of course, I'm your host, Marc D, aka Mr. Candid, as well as my co-host, Amanda Sword. Say bye to the folks, Amanda.
Bye.
It's your country twang.
Bye.
Y'all heard it, family. We love y'all, appreciate y'all. Till next time, deuces.